Hi, I'm Cameron Esposito. I am pregnant and a queer person, a lesbian.
I'm Keith, and I have a lot of questions.
A lot?
So these are questions not necessarily just from me, but from people. Some are our fans, some are the general populace. But I think in general, a lot of people might have questions for somebody who is gender fluid and also pregnant. And something else that makes it really fun is back, 10 years ago, when I was at BuzzFeed, I made a video called Questions for a Lesbian with you.
If you're a lesbian, do you still take birth control? I personally do not, but some women do to control their periods or deal with a hormone imbalance, or just for fun.
Now we're doing this entirely because we also have made a show together that sort of follows your pregnancy and a lot of your questions about pregnancy and gender norms in pregnancy.
It's been wild to make this show. I was pregnant during it. Don't do that. I'd skip it.
Just so everyone watching knows, these are not questions that's appropriate for you to go ask pregnant people or queer people that you run into.
I have submitted myself to this for some reason.
Yeah, you're allowing these questions to be asked. Some of these questions are probably inappropriate to ask, but now that knowledge will get out there and you don't have to ask the inappropriate question. Cameron is allowing me to ask these questions.
Yes, for now.
For now. Things could change.
Things could change.
Okay, first question, spaghetti or linguine?
Honestly, it depends on the sauce.
Good answer. How did you know you were non-binary and what did it feel like for you?
How did I know and what did it feel like? That's such a good question. Being a non-binary, gender fluid individual, I've known my whole life. I just didn't have words for it because I'm 44, so we didn't really use that language. And what it felt like was that when I was a kid, sometimes I wanted to be like Robin Hood for Halloween, and none of my friends wanted to be like Robin Hood for Halloween. They wanted to be somebody wearing a poodle skirt. These are Halloween costumes from the before times. Having wording for that, which honestly I got on TikTok, during the pandemic, the identity isn't different, the presentation isn't different, it's just that wording. There's more accessible and more widely known wording.
I think this is probably a common confusion from Devin Stewart in Chicago. I'm confused about a non-binary lesbian. Isn't being a woman attracted to other women the basis of being a lesbian? Regardless, rock on with whatever makes you happy.
Not necessarily. I think something that's true is that the word lesbian does have some complicated connotations right now around whether or not you are exclusionary of trans and non-binary folks. I am not, as a person who also is gender non-conforming. I also sometimes feel like a woman, sometimes feel like a man. I can do whatever I want.
But you only love women.
No, that's not even true. I don't even only love women. I have an ex-husband, so eat that.
Eat that.
The internet.
Is there anything about pregnancy or the process of pregnancy that has affirmed your gender or given you gender euphoria?
Not necessarily euphoria. It's just been interesting. I feel like it's been scientific. I feel like it's been athletic. I think there's a lot of stuff that it's been, and I don't know that those things have been specifically gendered so much as they've been stuff I don't hear people talk about when they talk about pregnancy.
This is going off book, but when we first chatted, you were unsure about the terminology of mom.
Yeah.
Now that you're more pregnant, what's that term? How do you feel about that term?
That's
mom?
such a good question. I feel so curious about how my kid would like to refer to me, and I feel really open to that person having a participation in that. And I also think I do live in the world, and here's what I'll say. I'm not saying anybody should make compromises in their own life, but what I am saying is that when you're a parent and you have this face and this hair and boobs, people are gonna call you this is your mom, And I think for me, how I live my life is what battles are worth fighting and how close is this person to me? So if you're a random stranger, I don't really need to correct you.
Yeah.
If you're my kid's teacher, maybe I don't even need to correct you. If you're my wife, let's talk about it and get really into the nitty gritty and it'll be kind of a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Cool. That make sense?
Yeah. I also agree with your kid will call you what they start to call you, and they'll also start to with you. Yeah. Already, Henry calls Becky Little Mama, which no idea where he got that.
That's very funny, and congratulations on
Little Mama.
Yeah.
Little Mama.
Hell of a rapper. And I think there are people who have really specific answers to these questions. That's the thing. I am just answering my answers.
For sure.
Just to make sure that is clear.
How did you know you wanted kids?
I know some people really heavily interrogate it. I know some people really know they don't want to be a parent. I have just always thought I would be a parent. I don't know, I was I babysat and I was a nanny and I worked in schools.
I feel the same way. I always felt like I'll probably be a dad. But it wasn't like, I wasn't one of those people who's like, I can't wait to be a dad. Not that I love being a dad, but I just sort of assumed it would happen. That seems like the next logical thing that occurs in my life is I will be a dad. Right.
You know, I think the only thing that has made it complicated around the I really want to be thing is that people oversell the importance of the biological clock. I feel like I started hearing about that when I was 25. If you're 25, you may not have to worry about that as much as you think. We talk about that constantly, like that we're rotting and decaying. It is not true. There are so many factors, and your doctor and your hormones that can be measured, those will have a lot more information than random commonly held beliefs, some of which are incorrect.
What kind of pregnancy cravings are you having?
Oh, actually, everybody asks that. I haven't felt, here's what I'll say. Frozen fruit. I want to eat fruit that is frozen, but I think that some of that is that I'm hot. I want to eat a lot of frozen grapes.
What has it been like navigating pregnancy in the current political climate, especially as a queer person? I'm gonna guess really good.
I think I feel two ways about this. I have decided under this version of this administration, the first time that this was happening, I protested constantly. I did as much as I possibly could as a performer to talk about it constantly. And I feel like I am so glad that I did that. And this time, what I'm doing as a political act is trying to enjoy my life. I really believe there's a right and wrong here that's kind of irrefutable. And I feel like I pushed that message as much as I could. And this time, I really feel like, okay, so marriage equality is going to be, potentially debated at the Supreme Court. I don't know what will happen in terms of other trans folks like me. I mean, this is just so, super scary time. Mm-hmm. And kind of the only thing I can control besides what I do, again, with my money and my paying some attention and voting and all those things is be as happy as I can.
Sad that that's an act of defiance. You should just be able to
yes.
be happy.
Well, yeah, joy is a political act.
What kind of things were you looking for when searching for the right donor?
I think a lot of people just don't know how this works in general. It's not a book anymore. It's there are banks and it's a search engine essentially. And so you can be specific if you want to. The other thing that is different now than I think it used to be is how much health information you can have access to, and also how screened they already are. Because, again, I don't think we talk about this that much, but if you think about what's the sort of most high-tech screening that could ever happen in science, because this is a product, that is all being applied here, because it's a commercial industry. So anyway, it's wild. It's not like a fast food order, but it's more you can get a lot of information about the person that you are considering.
Interesting. What's your take on gender reveals? I'm curious if you're planning to do a traditional gender reveal or maybe a biological sex reveal just to avoid reinforcing gender norms.
I'm not doing either of those because I think there are more fun themes for a party. For my 40th birthday, the theme was dinosaurs.
Sick.
And eventually it'll be up on my socials.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay. Pregnancy clothing brands are often hyper-feminine. How have you been handling / feeling about clothes during your pregnancy?
I've worn a lot of men's shirts that I crop. And I'm wearing pants slung real low.
The first episode of our show actually just explores all that, and we tried a bunch of different pregnancy wear, including swimwear, and I tried it on too.
I like those bottoms. Let me see. Yeah, you looked...
And I looked okay.
You looked good.
And I had a little belly, and we learned a lot about maternity wear. Has concern over your gender being respected in a doctor's office ever discouraged you from getting care?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't go to the gynecologist for the first time until I was 27 years old because I felt really I felt like very self-conscious. One thing that has happened over time is that I'm so cool with myself that I have like more experience with medical professionals. They still say weird stuff, but I think I have like other people to talk to about it. Some of this is also in our current like medical system, like kind of an unsolvable issue. Some things are just about getting support, not necessarily being able to affect constant change when you're also the person who would be like most at risk for either recourse or having to sit through somebody else's reckoning conversation. You know, like anytime I push back, then I also have to be the person who like receives that other person's feelings about that. So I hope that as you're working on your medical advocacy, you're also working on just like throwing up middle fingers and being like, some people just don't get it, you know?
Yeah.
Like parents, am I right?
Parents just don't understand.
They just don't understand. My parents actually do. My parents actually totally do. That was just me quoting a song.
Yeah,
from
I was with
before
you.
time.
Yeah, I remember. As a non-binary trans lesbian from the other direction, my wife and I have been trying to get me pregnant with little success. Do you have any tips?
No. I don't know anything about this. I mean, I know what I've learned because I ask a bunch of questions, but maybe that's my only tip, is to ask your doctor a bunch of questions, even if they're like trying to blow you off or get through the appointment quickly, because I feel like we don't talk about this stuff. I had no idea any information. You can go home and like, you know, Google it all you want or like look on TikTok. You still might not get great info. But for this person who's having a difficult time, it is the luck of the draw. Like, has nothing to do with being a good or bad person, doing things right or wrong. Hopefully you've researched your doctor and your medical team. But outside of that, yeah, there's nothing I did right that you're doing wrong.
Yeah, there's lots of people from all walks of life who have a hard time getting pregnant. That is just a part of life for lots of people that all come from different circumstances. That's just, getting pregnant can be hard, but keep trying.
Or give up. It's so expensive. So that's okay too, if you want to give up.
Yeah.
It's fine.
What has been the most surprising thing about your pregnancy and your gender identity?
I think I thought that I would like look less like myself than I do, and that people would be weird. People haven't really been weird. It's like not my favorite physical experience, but like the gender stuff has been kind of fine. Except I would like to please have control of my body again, to the extent that we ever have control of our bodies.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't help you there.
Keith, give me back control of my body.
Do you think that being pregnant changes your relationship with the queer community?
I'm actually gonna say yes, only because the barriers to entry for queer people are more. There are a ton of barriers to entry. It's expensive. Not everybody has insurance. Conceiving in the more traditional way is just easier. Like, it just is easier in every way.
Do people ask you, how did you get pregnant?
Yes.
Okay, next question. But I guess, like, do you find it strange that people will ask you because they know your relationship situation, they ask you how? And does that feel invasive?
People do ask, like, where did you get sperm? Which is so, it is weird just in general, like, because sometimes it's happening at, like, you're, like, at a grocery store or something, you're like, pears or whatever, you're like, this doesn't feel appropriate to the situation. But more often, the number one thing that people do, I swear to God, this happens so often, is they make this joke on purpose. You're like, that's the joke. No, something terrible happened to me. A crime. This wasn't on purpose.
Whoa.
You know I don't have sperm in my relationship. So do you see how what you're bringing up, if it wasn't on purpose,
it would be horrific.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not that funny of a joke, is it? Maybe say anything else.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Or even, oh.
Oh. I will say that straight people do say that to straight people, but I feel like they do it to, the men do it, and it's men say it because having a baby is going to be a bad thing.
Oh, you're right.
You know
what?
They say it to guys.
Now that you say that, I can't imagine that man saying it to that man.
Yeah, right? They would say it to a man and be like, on
what
purpose, you're having a kid?
Sure.
That's gonna suck. Your life's
my
gonna suck.
God. Men have to get it together.
I know.
I can't believe you had to get married by choice and also have a baby that you participated in.
Yeah, the exact same joke when you get married. Like, you're getting married. Wow.
Men have lost their f***ing minds.
I'm not sure they had them.
Stop making your wife and child seem like a problem.
I know.
This is to all the
Be nice.
really mean straight men that have watched this far into this video.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, they'll start at the beginning so they can comment something nasty because they feel like, I hate my life. You're gonna hate your too. That's how I see. That's how I envision hateful commenters.
Yeah, I think you're right.
What did you learn from your own experience with gender that you want your child to grow up knowing from the start? That's a good question.
I grew up in the 80s, the 1980s and 90s, and I was doing my own thing, and my parents were actually really encouraging of that. They let me dress, how I wanted to dress and explore things I wanted to explore in terms of hobbies and things like that. That model, which my parents actually followed, like I'm saying, I will hopefully bring into my kid's life. I also want my kid to have the experience of things that are gender conforming, which I also got to experience, so that I could know more about myself. So I don't think it's I'm also not trying to do an overcorrection where I don't need everything to be gender neutral, because what even is gender neutral, Mm-hmm. We're gonna try a lot of different things.
Yeah, Henry likes garbage trucks. That feels pretty boy.
Yeah.
Henry also likes K-pop and Lady Gaga a lot. I'm like, well, it doesn't feel so garbage trucky to me. How did you tell your family that you're pregnant?
I said, I'm pregnant, when I was talking to them.
Well, how did they respond?
They were really happy. Everybody was really happy. Yeah. I will say that because we did IVF, it was slightly different because people were aware that it was part of what was going on for us, because it was a challenging medical experience. Even though it wasn't particularly long for us, it's still you're don't feel good.
Yeah, so it was less a surprise of new news to them as it was a confirmation of something you wanted to happen.
Yeah, and also something we weren't sure was going to happen, but that they knew we were making plans toward, which I mean maybe that makes it even bigger stakes.
Yeah, I think
when
it's
you're
bigger.
then telling somebody, as opposed to just
right.
I'm not going to tell you what I was last month, but we're pregnant. You know what I mean?
On purpose?
What do straight people do? Where do you even have sex?
Are you scared of being a queer parent? This person has a fear of their children being harassed because of their sexuality one day, and that fear keeps them from having a family.
I definitely have experienced people treating me differently because I don't wear bodycon dresses all the time. I definitely know that my wife has experienced people treating her differently because, number one, people perceive her to be more feminine than me, and she's a queer person. Number two, she's an Asian American person, So our family already is made up of two people who've been treated differently than a straight cis white couple. Because of that, and this is not a choice everybody gets to make, but I think about something where I will want to live. These are real things, that not everybody has to think about. And I think I could be a good parent for this child because I've had these experiences that make me particularly compassionate. So I hope that my kid has some experiences in her life that make her empathetic.
Linguini or farfalla?
I feel like I would do farfalla because you said that's fine?
No, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's sort of in a funny, it's got a fun squiggle to it, doesn't it?
Farfalla are the...
Yeah, they're squiggly. Well, sometimes they have the squiggle on the end of the bows.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm Keith, you're losing your mind.
No. The outside squiggle. Yeah. I kind of you draw them with the squiggles, for sure.
Right, okay.
What's your favorite part of pregnancy so far?
The day it's over.
That's not so far, is it, Cam?
I don't know, it's cool. I like experiences. I even like experiences that I kind of hate.
Did you ever get the stereotypical, but your baby needs a father figure, refutes from any strangers or close friends or family? And if so, how did you navigate that?
No. Nope. I mean, the government.
Yeah, right.
But I will say, can I just say one thing? This would be a lot easier if there was a man to move things around our house.
Well, it depends on the man, because I'm a very weak man, so I wouldn't have been
Keith,
helpful to you.
Shut up. however weak man you think you are, how tall are you?
6'3".
I can't lift anything. Do you know how tall my wife is? 5'2". She weighs 100 pounds.
Hicks, that's not very heavy.
Whatever is the lightest weight you can lift.
That's
And
like-
she is hauling shit around my house. I love you, Katie. So what I'm trying to say is like, there's no excuse.
Okay.
Come over
All right.
and carry this stuff for us,
Okay.
Keith.
To your credit, when we had our baby and we were gone, I called Ryan Garcia to put together the nanny chair, but also I was like, oh, thank God I don't have to. It was like a 100-pound box he had to get through these doorways. I don't know how he did it.
You couldn't carry a 100-pound box?
No, not easily by myself.
Oh.
They're big and bulky. Like,
If I wasn't pregnant, I'd pick you up right now.
Could I lift 100 pounds off the ground if it was easy to lift? Sure.
This is the only time I've ever been like, I can't believe that I'm gay.
This next question is borderline insane.
Okay.
Okay. If you had to be pregnant and give birth as an animal instead of a human, what animal would you choose to be?
What are you talking about? I don't know the ways that animals give birth.
Yeah, you do. Deer,
No.
they just fall out. Giraffes, they just fall out. Ducks, they lay eggs.
You're right, I guess.
Chickens,
Seahorse. I think they're all having a much better experience.
Okay, now, stuffed shells or lasagna?
Ooh, that one's tough. Really different mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Lasagna.
Yeah. Do you feel comfortable in typical pregnancy culture, or did you have to create your own version of it?
I'm too exhausted to create my own version of anything, so I'm just going to what's available, and then I come home and I watch baseball.
How has the support or lack of it from healthcare providers and your community shaped your experience of pregnancy?
I've actually had great experiences with doctors specifically. There's some hope for you. It's been good.
What is the one part about being pregnant you would delete from pregnancy if you had the power?
The amount of time. It's 1 hour. I think there's actually a movie like that.
Yeah. What does a child call their non-binary parents? Mom, dad, chef? Hey, you milk wench? I need to know. Caitlin needs to know. Hey, you milk wench.
Caitlin. Caitlin, you've done something bad here with this question. Whatever. Like, I just mean, I think there's a couple different options here. One is that the parent chooses. Two is that the kid chooses. And I think that there's a third option, which is like deferring to culture because nothing sounds better.
Well, thanks for letting me ask all those questions.
Yeah, Keith, thanks for asking me all those questions. And I can't think of two different types of pasta.
We have a 4-episode show following your journey. Right now, it's on Second Try. Eventually, it'll make its way to YouTube. If you want to start watching that show, it's airing on Second Try. We'd love to have you over to learn about it.
Come on over,
Come on over.
but not to my house.
I can't even go to Cameron's house.
Keith, you can come to my house.
Oh, yeah, to work.
Yeah! Wait, why is this so tight? You got it. My name's Cameron Esposito.
Cameron Esposito. Cameron Esposito.
Cameron Esposito.
I'm a stand-up comic. My pronouns are they, them, she, her, he, him. And I'm pregnant.
You gotta get the cervix go from this to this.
That's a lot.
It's gonna happen in my body imminently. I don't know any gender fluid person that's gone through pregnancy. That's so shocking.
Go to these like pregnancy circles, and even though everybody there has a husband, everybody there has a husband.
Being pregnant has been my biggest fear my entire life.
You think parenthood will be one way, and you're often really wrong about that.
I didn't see a lot of people talking about how bananas this is. Is yours like hard?
There's a baby in there.
Is it like this hard? Yeah.
You might notice that you're constipated too because it's pushing on your colon.
I'm pooping right now.
This is perfect.
So this show is about what happens going on a journey that you didn't think was for you.
This is actually what we did in middle school at dances. So we can...
Lucy, I'm home.
Do we do the accent?
This year, our t-shirts of the month feature our Triceratops mascot, Stompy. Each design every month is going to have very limited quantities, so once it's sold out, it's gone forever. Get this one today at tryguys.com.